Now that we've cleaned up the small details and also worked on the dress a bit, let's spend a little bit more time working on the shape of the dress. In particular, I want to add a bit more of a curve over here and also over here. So to do that, let's take a look at two different techniques that we can use. First, click in your topmost layer, then press Shift Option Command E on a Mac, Shift Alt Control E on Windows in order to merge all of your underlying layers to the topmost layer. Well, now that we have it on a separate layer, we'll grab our rectangular marquee tool and we'll make a selection of this area of the photograph. Well, once we've selected an area of this layer, we can free transform it. Press Command T on a Mac, Control T on Windows, and then right click and choose Warp. Once you've accessed Warp, what you can do is you can start to modify these points here. And all that I'm interested in doing is, again, trying to create a little bit more shape here. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in some of these points and just see if we can create a bit more of an S-curve on the side of the photograph. The nice thing about Warp is a lot of times you can really connect your lines simply by dragging these different points here. All right, well, let's try that out. Press Enter or Return, and then go to Select and choose Deselect. Now this isn't a huge adjustment. Here's our before and then after, but it can help out a little bit, just adding to the overall curvature. So let's mask this in. Go ahead and click on the Add Layer Mask icon. Invert that, grab your brush tool, and here with the brush tool we just need to paint with white. And we'll just paint with white in this area, and we can look to paint this in exactly where we want it. And in this case, perhaps just right there will do, again, just adding a little bit more of a curve. All right, well, how else can we do this type of an effect? Well, another way that we can do this is with liquefy. So here, once again, let's merge to top. You remember the shortcut? It's Shift Option Command E on a Mac, Shift Alt Control E on Windows. Next, we'll go ahead and navigate to our Filter pull-down menu and then choose Liquefy. Now, the thing with liquefy is that it gets a bad rap because most people use it in ways that it's not intended to be used. They overdo things. So we want to keep this really simple. And it looks like the last time I used this I had a really low brush density and pressure. And again, we're going to want this to be really, really low, maybe a little bit higher than that. And we'll want our brush size to be a little bit bigger as well. But what we can do is with this low amount, just start to make changes here. I'm going to make my brush size a little bit bigger and also increase these values just a bit more because this is a pretty high res file. And again, I'm just clicking and dragging and looking to modify shape here. The way that this will work is that it will drag at a stronger rate near the crosshairs and then a less of a rate on the outer edge. Now, whenever you're making changes like this, you'll never know if you're really going in a good direction because you can kind of fool yourself into thinking, yes, this is really good, when indeed it won't be that good. So one of the ways that you can check your own progress is by turning on the visibility of the background or the original work that you've done. To do that, turn on Show Backdrop there and turn that on to 100% opacity. So here we have our before and after. And in this case, I think that kind of works. And again, we're not trying to exaggerate things too far, but just try to bring this shape into a little bit more continuity with the other side, adding a bit more curvature there. Now, of course, with this tool, we can also zoom in and make other changes as well. Again, just nudging different little areas if we want to bring those areas in. All right, well, here I think this is looking pretty good. I'm just going to nudge this a bit and then also work on the hair just a bit. Again, just sneaking this in a little bit while I'm here. I think that looks decent. Again, not amazing, but pretty good. Make the brush a little bit smaller. And with a smaller brush, you can make a little bit more precise adjustments, and that will sometimes be more noticeable. And then let's click OK in order to apply that. Well, what we want to do, of course, is mask this in just where we want it. So let's click on the Add Layer Mask icon. Choose Invert to conceal all of that. Grab your brush tool and then paint with white. And again, by painting with white, we can really start to see how this is going to work. And we can also just make sure we're bringing in just the content that we want to use. So we're not overdoing it in any one area. And I'm just going to paint in a couple of little adjustments I made up here as well. All right, well, now that we've made all these adjustments and now that we've painted these in, one of the things that we'll want to do is merge our layers together. Now, because we have masks and because occasionally when we're retouching we have opacity or blending modes, a lot of times it's a good idea to merge to top and then flatten down. Let's do that again, not because we need to here, but just for good measure. Let's go ahead and do that. Click in the topmost layer, press Shift, Option, Command E to merge to top. Click in that layer, hold down the Shift key, and then click in the bottom layer of our shape layers here, and then press Command E on a Mac, Control E on Windows. We'll go ahead and name this layer here Shape. All right, let's zoom out a bit so that we can evaluate our progress. Here we have it, our overall before and after. We're making some great progress. Let's continue to work on this image, and we'll do that in the next movie.